Welcome to Coming Home with Mama T. I'm your host, Tiara, aka Mama T. And on this podcast, we explore the journey of creating the life of our desires through mastering manifestation, maintaining a positive mindset, and living luxuriously. And today's theme is rooting it out. What is the it? The it is the self-doubt, the negativity, the imposter syndrome, as we spoke about before. We are getting to the nitty-gritty so that we can remove that, release that from our spirit, from our being, so that we can move forward and be the versions of ourselves that we desire to be. Because really, that is the root of mindset mastery, right? It's the root of the work that I do, activating your inner shift, making sure that there is nothing operating within our system that is holding us back from actually achieving what it is that we desire to experience. So what does that all mean? Where does that all go from? I actually was watching my old show choir videos. It was so funny how it showed up yesterday. A friend came over and she said something like, "Dream girls," or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, core memory unlocked. I totally sang that in show choir, and she was like, "What? You did show choir?" And I was like, "Girl, let's go." I think I still have the DVDs. So I literally found the DVDs from junior and senior year, and we sat and we watched through show choir, and and I was talking to her about the politics of it all and how I felt at that time, or at least how I perceived the world at that time, and it brought up all of these emotions, and not even emotions, but beliefs in myself that I recognize that I was feeling, and I was like, is that still operating in me, right? I saw myself, not as the best, not as the worst, but as, the Gen Zers say, I was pretty mid. I've always felt mid in my experience, regardless of whether or not I've had a leadership position or whatever. Obviously, leadership and mentorship has really often fallen into my lap, but that doesn't necessarily mean that my energy was holding where I really wanted to be and always wanted to be. I was best friend energy, not main character energy. Supporting role energy, not main character energy, if you're thinking about a movie, right? And so I'm like, all right, cool. How do I get to be, or how do I become Keira Knightley, Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, Angela Bassett, whatever. How do I embody these people that actually have main character energy, main character roles, and be that version of myself, because it's in there, right? And I obviously there is a lack mentality there. There is a lack of belief in myself, in what I can do, right? So, based off of my looks and based off of what I've seen in Hollywood, for example, I would have this mindset of well, the way I look, I can only be cast as the best friend or some sort of mentor sort of character, because I'm not the heroine look-alike. I'm not traditionally what is put on screen as the ingenue of a role, and I've seen that portrayed in my life, or perpetrated in my life, and it's is that really what the deal is? Or is it just my energy, and therefore my energy is reflected back to me as, well, you said that you can't be a main character, so we're not going to let you be the main character. You're just not living out the main character life. And I do want to say that there are ebbs and flows to this, right? Because I can see myself in moments where I'm just in a space, I'm happy, I'm comfortable, and I'm just flying free. And in those spaces, I find that, people come to me, and I attract people to talk to and whatever, and it's all fine and dandy. But if there's a place in space where I am uncomfortable, I feel less than, I feel okay, I don't have, I'm in a bar by myself and I don't have friends here. What do I do? And I get into my head. If I get into my head about it, then I'm not creating the connections. If I just find the fun, the next thing you know, things just show up, and I'm not that concerned, right? And so it is a shift in our mindset and a shift in our energy, because they're connected, right? sometimes we have to just focus on the energy and not let our mind run, because our minds sometimes just don't understand. It just doesn't get it, right? Try to like describe love, right? Like you're trying to, like, if you're talking to a 5-year-old and they're like, you say, I love you. And they're like, well, what does that mean? And I bet you put 5 adults in front of that 5-year-old, they're all going to have a very different, like, explanation for the word, or a different definition, right? They'd have a different definition of the word, but it all culminates to a feeling. It's like, it's this, I feel this emotion for you. I feel connected to you. And you can try to describe it and you can try to explain it. And you might say like something about, well, there's different kinds of love too. There's the love that you might have for your friends. There's love that you might have for your family, your grandma, your whatever. It feels a little bit different depending on who the person is and their relationship to you, but there's still love there. There is this caring about this person and their well-being. That is what it is. And like, that's how I might describe it, but that might not be how you describe it, right? Because also our description of it would reflect how we feel love. How we might describe something. It's literally like how we put that energy out is how it's reflected back to us. So if we're finding that, we're not getting the energy back that we're hoping for, then sometimes we have to figure out what energy are we actually giving ourselves. And I'm going to take a deeper dive into that conversation in a future episode. But today we're talking about rooting it out. Rooting it out. So part of that is the awareness factor, which I talk about in the Activate Your Inner Shift meditation series. So definitely go to www.MamaTEnergy.com to sign up for that. It's free for you if you haven't checked it out already. And the intention behind that is that you're going to be able to utilize this shift method towards anything that you are looking to shift and change in your life, starting with your mindset. And then there's the meditation aspect that works on your energy around it. So it's perfect combination of both the mind and the spirit that go into it. And going back to the rooting it out, so we bring that awareness to our situation, and then we figure out, okay, well, why? I think finding the why. You don't need to go through the whole like trauma dive unless you really want to. Like that's your choice. I personally in my practice don't feel like I need to go like dig deep down and be like, all right, well, the first time someone said XYZ to me that I didn't like, that is the beginning, and I have to figure out who was it that said such and such to me and ingrained this little pebble that was actually a seed. Like they put this little seed of doubt and self-hatred and loathing into my brain, and now it's flourished, and 35 years later it's a full-grown tree. It's an oak tree with deep roots like into this brain, and I'm loving the imageries. I wish you could see into my brain, right? So it's like, the roots are kind of like the little veins in our brain, just like moving through, and it's incorporating itself into every little aspect of the brain and how it's firing off. And so whenever some new information comes in, there's this tree back here that's like telling you, okay, well, interpreting that information through the root of that tree. So in order for us to move forward, in order for us to actually take in that information with a whole new light, a whole new vision, a whole new perspective, we have to first make sure that tree is no longer there. And when we take when we can cut the tree, and depending on the kind of plants, right? So it's important to go down to the roots. Like a snake, if you cut its tail, the tail can grow back. Same with a lizard, right? The tail can grow back and the snake can still do its snake thing. But if you chop its head off, then the snake ain't snaking anymore, right? So the same idea, right? We have to get down. If you have weeds in your garden, you can't just snip off the green part and think that you're done. No, you got to get down into those roots, because those roots are stealing nutrients from your plant. And so your plant can't thrive. You are the plant in this scenario. You can't thrive because this tree, this weed, I like the weed analogy better. The weed is like overtaking your brain garden and keeping you from being able to see the light. It's keeping you from being able to absorb the water and the nitrogen and the carbon dioxide that you need as a complicated plant. We need oxygen. The plant needs carbon dioxide. But anyways, we still need the nitrogen, the water, the light, that vitamin D, all that good stuff. Like those are things that are needed for our bodies to thrive. Right? And so, what do? We have to, one, make a choice, right? We have to make a choice. We have to have awareness about what it is that's happening. And so for me, I noticed, I was like thinking about, I'm watching these videos and I'm thinking about where I was at that time. And I'm like, what has shifted in me and what hasn't? What's still the same? Because I'm noticing that like, okay, well, in my life, I still am not like maybe the top performer that I want to be or the main character energy that I want to be. There's still space for growth. I have a deeper capacity for bringing things into my life and a deeper understanding of my life, but that doesn't mean that I'm still living exactly how it is that I see myself as living. So what changes can I look at? What can I say and, be like, okay, well, back then I saw myself as, I would tell myself things like, okay, once I lose the weight, that's when I'll find a boyfriend. Once I lose the weight, that's when people will actually start to see me as a great character in a film or in a show or whatever. Once I achieve these things, then my life will be fulfilled, was kind of the mindset. But then I would get somewhere close to achieving whatever limitation I have set on myself. Like this is the lack space, right? Once I hit $1 million, then I can afford a house. Once I hit that, like what like I have this goal, but also the goal was so far out / not necessarily unattainable, but I wouldn't consider it a SMART goal because I lost weight. Like when I look at, like I can look at the video, my video from junior year to senior year, I look different. I lost weight, right? I had a guy ask me out. I had these things happen, but all of that, with all of that happened, it wasn't what I wanted, right? Like I lost weight. It wasn't as much weight as I wanted to lose. Like I still had this body dysmorphia in my mind, running in my mind, being like, oh, well, like I still am not, cheerleader skinny. So my self-worth is tied to my weight. And I until I get to cheerleader skinny, then I'm not going to be thriving. I am limiting myself. The guys that I'm attracted to won't be attracted to me until I reach a certain like visual space. And that, honestly, when I say it out loud, it makes zero sense. It makes zero sense to me, but that's the energy that I'm working with, right? And that's the thoughts that I'm working with. So obviously, if it's still there, if I'm still not experiencing what it is that I desire, I get to think about it and be like, okay, well, is that still something that is working within me, right? Am I still like, even if I'm saying the affirmations, do I truly believe in them? And am I working on a spectrum of it, right? There are moments, because I know, like I said earlier, there are moments where I'm like, yes, this is it. This is me. I am in my goddess era and I fully embody that space. But do I hold on to it? What triggers pull me back? And obviously, if there's a trigger that pulls me back, there's still a root of that weed in my brain space, and I now have to pluck it out. Yes, because that's really what a trigger is. It's a reminder that, hey, this is still operating within you, even if you think it's not, even if you think you're doing the work, and it's nothing wrong with the work that you're doing, but it's just, hey, the universe, God, source, letting you know that the work is not fully complete. And if you're looking to attract something into your life and you're looking for a different experience, you're not going to be able to have the experience that you're hoping for unless we root out the source of the problem. you're not the problem. I want you to understand that, right? You are not the problem. You are beautifully and perfectly made as you are right here in this moment. We all are. There just might be some energetic shifts that need to happen, some mindset shifts that need to happen, and we can master that with awareness, with work, with actual time and focus. And I think something to be brought up is that, we live in a society that is so heavily, predicated on having this hustle and grind mentality. And then we're living these lives, and our inventions even create a space where we can work longer because we have lights. We're now no longer working with the cycle of actual nature, right? If you think of hundreds of years ago, people were up when the sun was up. And if it was wintertime and there was less sun, they were probably, hibernating a little bit more, operating more based on a cycle that is more natural to the world and Mama Earth and all of that. And we probably didn't eat as much in certain times. We had a different pattern that was based off of how the world actually works, how nature actually thrives. And now we've decided hey, you know what? We've built up these whole societies and created all these technologies that no longer need to align with nature. But why are we so stressed out, overworked, overweight, overstimulated, over everything? Why are we over it? Because we've pulled ourselves away from actually being able to be in a cycle, right? Being able to operate the way nature operates. There's so many cycles within it, not just this, the sun and the moon in terms of the operation of a day. There's the seasons depending on where you live on the, in alignment with the equator. You might have more sun, more summery experience. You might have a more cold, experience depending on your distance, right? We have, women, we have our menstrual cycle. There's the cycle of the moon. There are so many cycles to nature, and we have created a life and a society that is fighting most of them. I feel like it. From birth control to having lights so we can work longer and see during the night. And, there are things that we're thankful for, don't get me wrong. But having that awareness of, hey, I am moving away from what my body naturally wants to do, what my mind naturally wants to do. How am I going to make sure that I am supporting myself still if I am operating in a society that doesn't flow? Yes. So we have to make sure that, when we're in the world and we're connecting to people and we're talking to people, if any sort of seed is being implanted into our system, can we brush it off if it's not something that we actually want to integrate into our mind garden, right? If it's going to be a weed that, we don't want it to start thriving and be something that's been sitting there for 10, 20, 30 years, and it's going to take more time and effort to weed it out and pull out all those little baby itsy teensy roots that have just been left behind that could potentially grow into something else. We got to keep working on it. Yeah. And I don't want to keep working on it, to be honest. To be fully honest, I don't want to keep having to work. I want to keep thriving. Yes. So that means that I have to learn how to hold the space. Hold the space of being the version of myself I want to be, right? I don't want to be the 18-year-old Tiara who kept thinking all these negative things about themselves, regardless of how I presented myself in the world. But I also notice when I look at myself in those videos, when I look at these things, I can see moments when the camera caught me and I'm thinking, right? I'm not being the character on the stage. I'm not being the showstopper, the star, or whatever. I'm thinking about like, oh wait, like that's so and so. I don't know what I'm thinking about, but like I know that from being on stage, I know that like sometimes I'm like, oh, there's like so and so in the audience, or oh my gosh, like my shoe is doing something weird, or whatever. Like there's like all these random things, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like we can totally acknowledge it, but when the face falls, then I know that I was thinking about something and I wasn't fully present in my moment. And we need to practice that presence, that holding of the character, if you will, staying in character, if you will, as we learned in theater and all the things, or at least I did, in theater, and wanting to get the showmanship award. I remember thinking about it. I wanted the showmanship award so bad for show choir. I really, really wanted to like get it. And depending on what school you went to or which performance you went, I really wanted it to be at like one of the top performances. Like when we went to like New York or Chicago, I really wanted to get that award. I really, really wanted it. And I think about it, and it's like, I feel like probably some of those moments where my face might have just like fell a little bit was probably the moment where I'm like, I gotta get my showmanship award. I gotta get my showmanship award. And I wasn't thinking about, I'm really enjoying this. Like I love this and I'm so thankful to be here. There's a difference, right? There's like this like uber masculine versus that feminine like softness, right? And the softness is the space that like has the brighter smile, the space that has this like attractive energy to it. I don't chase, I attract. And there's nice balance between having the masculine and the feminine energy. There's nothing wrong with either one of them. And that's again a whole nother conversation to dive into that. But what I'm really wanting to get in your mind is, one, having the awareness, right? Having the space for yourself and being able to create space for yourself so you can think about these kind of things and recognize these things within yourself so that you can take the time to root out the stuff that does not serve you so that you can be that version of yourself, right? This is what I talk about when I coach my clients, when I'm in the home membership. These are the things that we lean into and bring awareness towards, because sometimes we don't even see it for ourselves. And that's the beauty of working with like a coach or being in a coaching community, is that someone can point something out, not in a like condescending, way, but in a constructive way. And when we're in these spaces, it's also, you are inviting us to be able to make a commentary. I am fully like, here we are. Here's a moment for you. Like if you were looking for someone to just like give you flowers all the time and like woo-hoo, rah-rah, hey, love you, and just say that you're beautiful, you're perfect and wonderful all the time, then like that's not the space for you. Like the home membership is not the space for you. Yes, it's the space that's made to be sacred and nurturing for you, and we're going to offer you advice in a space full of love and from a place of love, because we're not at all like connected to your life, if that makes sense. Like that's not the best way to put it. We have no, what's the words? I'm trying to think of a very specific word, but it's like, it's that feeling of like, I don't get any sort of validation from your success, if that makes sense. Like that's yours. So why would I need to feel some type of way if you do it or you don't do it, if you thrive or you give up? Like, it doesn't matter to me for the experience that I'm looking to have in my life, right? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be like, I don't care about you. That's different. I care about you as an individual, but understand that your success and your experience, that's a you thing. I'm here to guide you and support you and helping make sure that the you thing thrives for you. That's the thing that you actually want to experience. But if you don't experience it, that doesn't mean anything about me, because I'm focused on my experience, what I'm doing, right? I'm offering guidance. So when we offer the guidance, understanding that it's an invitation for us to be able to offer guidance when we're in these spaces, right? And it is a practice to be able to say like, hey, like, would you want, some guidance on this? Or how do you feel? Like, are you here to vent, or are you here to actually have like some construction going on here so we can grow and thrive and do all that good stuff, right? And so when that's a mindset you have to be in when you join coaching or a coaching community, you got to be ready to receive and be ready to edit and make those tweaks, right? Because if you are wanting to just show up and say, hey, this is what I want for myself, but have no desire to make any sort of changes in your mindset, your experience, what you do on your day-to-day, you just want to say, hey, this is my thing, and complain about it, then you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. I'm here to help you get results, right? That's what coaches do. Yes, if you think about like a basketball coach, they're not making you run suicides just to run suicides. They're making you run suicides to increase your ball handling skills, to increase your endurance, to make you a better player. Right? It might suck while you're doing it. It's literally called suicides for a reason because it sucks. Actually, I really loved it when I played basketball. Those were probably my favorite drills. But it made you better, right? It was a little thing that you did on a regular basis that made you better. And you can apply these kind of practices to anything, right? The activate your inner shift makes your mind stronger, right? Makes your mind better so that you can be better. You can believe better in yourself and move forward. And with that, I'm going to invite you to go to www.MamaTEnergy.com. Check out the Activate Your Inner Shift, the free meditation series for you. Also, there is the home membership and one-on-one mentorship available for you. If you are interested in the one-on-one mentorship, guess what? The home membership is included. So you'll get 2 sessions with me, hour-long sessions with me every month. It's a 3-month program, so go ahead and check that out. And then once, while you're in those 3 months of the mentorship, you'll get access to the home membership. And if you're interested in the home membership, that is the community space. That is the community coaching space. So you'll get group coaching twice a month. You'll also get a ritual once a month. You'll also get some movement once a month. And then it's just a space for us to connect and thrive. You do have to be on Facebook to access the home membership. So if you don't have a Facebook account and you're interested, get a Facebook account. Simple as that. All right. So with that, thank you so much. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.